Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now September 8th of 2022, and as we get closer to other Star Wars TV shows out there, such as Star Wars Andor, The Bad Batch Season 2, as well as Tales of the Jedi, a lot of things are happening behind the scenes also between both Favreau, Filoni, and Lucas to really bring Star Wars back together again, and really go back to the roots of it all, to George Lucas's vision and his overall philosophy of the franchise. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that a lot of fans around the globe are very well prepared for what's about to debut on D23, of course, that very day that it debuts, and of course we have Star Wars Celebration, which is where pretty much the majority of the announcements are going to be made. Now, D23 kickstarts tomorrow, and it's going to span a couple of days, so we have a lot of things that will be announced not just for Star Wars, but also for Marvel and other franchises out there as well. Now, that brings us to the next thing here, is that there's been a lot of things going on between Kathleen Kennedy and the Disney executives. Now, we already know that she has had a lot of issues with the Acolyte series, and she's at least moving along well with the Skeleton Crew series, which, to be honest, I'm not looking forward to that all that much, because it is primarily being created by her. She is in full creative power over that series, so I'm not really expecting so much from that series, to be very truthful. Now, with that being said, that brings us to exactly what Kathleen Kennedy recently had to say about the Star Wars fandom and how she feels about fan reactions and overall how the series and how the other past Star Wars films have been treated before in the past. Now, on top of this, with many new Star Wars announcements on the horizon by Disney and Lucasfilm that will be done, like I say, at Celebration next year, and some of which will be announced on, of course, D23, it's described, however, that currently, Kathleen Kennedy is still having quite a lot of trouble and production issues with the Acolyte show, with trying to get the show to release on time for sometime next year in 2023. Now, it's described that Disney executives are now pushing the show all the way to 2024 sometime in the first quarter. In a recent interview where Kathleen Kennedy was talking about the Kenobi series, she went on to admit her feelings about the Star Wars fandom. She went on to state the following: "To be completely honest, I'm disgusted how the fans reacted to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it just makes me so angry how so much hate can be spilled on the creators who did their finest job creating the series. It just really frustrates me to no end that we have all these fans voicing their opinions that are something that they don't really believe in, almost like they are just following a crowd. I feel we did a fantastic job on the Kenobi series. Did we have a couple of mistakes in production? Yes, but I think the series was a great addition to Star Wars and never disrespected the Kenobi character ever, as fans claim." Now, let me just stop here quick for 1 second before we get to the next thing that Kathleen Kennedy has to say. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I do feel that the Kenobi character was very disjointed and a little altered as far as how he should have been treated as in the Kenobi show. They completely just put him to the wayside in many different ways that can be explained, but we won't dive into that in this video. But the thing about the Kenobi show also is that it really lacked a lot of things. It lacked music, it lacked certain cinematography styles that should have been presented in the actual show to really make it feel all the more cinematic per se. And that brings us to what Kathleen Kennedy is saying here. She believes that the fans' opinions out there about the Kenobi series are opinions that they don't really even believe in, and that they are just saying that to follow a crowd. This is all according to Kathleen Kennedy. Now, that is absolutely not the case. It's not. Everybody has their real opinions on the Kenobi series. There's no following the crowd or anything like that. The Kenobi show was wildly criticized because of what they did with the Kenobi character and how the Reva character was not really making all that much sense at times in the show. Alright, so that brings us to the next thing here about where things are going, where Kathleen Kennedy is still having a lot of issues with the Acolyte series and how she's trying to make it something of her own. But since Jon and George recently got a lot of creative power, in case you guys did not know that, they have power over 5 episodes now, she only is able to really call the shots on a total of 4 episodes, and that of course being the first 4 episodes, so pretty much the setup of the show. So let's hope that the Acolyte still has some kind of, light at the end of the tunnel, with Jon and George calling the shots on the other 5. Now that brings us to the next thing here. She goes on to say the following: I will put it out there that I expected this type of reaction. We all did. Myself, Joby, and Deborah talked about this beforehand, that we just knew the fans were going to act inflammatory because we were going to be focused on a new character that presented diversity. And that also makes me as a businesswoman very angry with what we are dealing with, since we can never please the fans to something that we spend years on and years of our lives on. The series took forever to come out because of the production issues we had back and forth between making it a movie, then into a trilogy, and then into a series. We could have easily canceled this altogether, and it really is a terrible thing seeing fans react in such an irresponsible way once we finally got the series out for everybody to see for the fandom. So now, the thing about Kathleen Kennedy here, before I get to the next thing, is that she's really blaming the fans again here about having an opinion and really presenting the facts that they really did not like certain aspects of the Kenobi show. Now, like I said before, Kennedy's claiming that the opinions given out there for the Kenobi series are just people saying things that they don't believe in, and that's absolutely not the case. I just, talked about that before. A lot of fans had real, honest opinions about this show because they're very passionate about the Kenobi character and the philosophy of the franchise and the prequel trilogy movies and how this was supposed to be a true sequel to Episode 3. But at the end of the day, she also admits that this show had a lot of production problems, and it did. We always knew about this. It's not new. At first it was going to be a movie, like she said, then a trilogy, and then it turned into a series. So there were a lot of changes, in between over the years. You guys may recall way back in 2018, they wanted to get this Kenobi movie out in 2020. For obvious reasons, that did not happen. Then they wanted to make it into, something else entirely new, in the form of a trilogy, and then that turned into a show, which they were able to do in 1, 2, 3 very fast. So that brings us to where we are now. Now, given that Kathleen Kennedy only has control over Skeleton Crew and, of course, the Acolyte series, only those 2 shows she has full power over. So that's good news. I mean, that really shows a light at the end of the tunnel, given that Jon and Dave are really propelling the majority of the Star Wars shows and really kind of just giving the fans what they want to see. I mean, they're the ones responsible for reviving Star Wars Legends and making it possible again. And that couldn't be, something that we have all been asking for to actually finally come true, and it's finally happening, and that's great news and all. So, overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.